Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is This Week in Baseball Betting, the show we do every week with Troy West from allplayswin.com, where we take a look ahead at the upcoming week in baseball betting. We look at the pitching matchups, the series matchups. Today is Tuesday, June 11th. Troy, thanks for being back with us this week.
Thanks a lot, Pete. It's a fun show. I thought last week went really well. Hopefully some of the insight that was given off the show was taken, and hopefully guys are starting to make a little money, and hopefully this week we can do the same. It's a great show, and I'm glad to be on it.
For sure. There's definitely some matchups that caught my eye that I might be looking to bet on, mostly from the weekend matchups. But first of all, I don't know if you caught this, Chien-Ming Wang, back in the majors. He's starting. I mean, this guy has 9 lives, doesn't he?
He does. You know, it's funny. Last year, when he was with the Nationals, he kind of seemed like fade material. And who knows? You just never know what you're going to get when these guys keep coming back and coming back. So before I throw any dollar amounts on him or against him, I'm going to kind of see what he does here for the next few starts.
No, it's true. You never know what you're going to get, but you can strongly suspect what you're going to get, and he's going to get crushed. Come on, he's throwing sinkers with no velocity. He can get away with that in the minor leagues. I noticed he did have a good ERA in the minor leagues, but he wasn't striking out anyone, and when he's going to get crushed. Come on, right, Troy?
You could be right, Pete. You know, Wang is, like I said, he was a guy last year that I thought was great fade material. And like I said, I maybe give him 1 or 2 starts to see, but sometimes these guys, they get lucky. Sometimes they're almost too slow for these major league hitters to adjust through the first time or whatnot. And they got to get a little bit more of the scouting report and see what he's got. But I'm with you, Pete. Trust me, I'm not saying this is a guy that'll be on his back this year. I'll definitely be going against him when the time's right. Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into some of the upcoming series and pitching matchups. Troy, what's caught your eye? Let's start right off.
One of the other series later on going on is the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers. I really, really like this series because Kansas City's won 7 out of their last 10. They started out hot, kind of fell off a little bit. Now they're back. And what an intriguing matchup tomorrow. James Shields versus Justin Verlander. Both those pitchers pitching lights out right now. Verlander's gone 7 strong his last 3 starts. Shields pitching really well. I just think that's going to be a great game. I think you're going to see a possible under. I don't know where they're going to set that line at, but if they set it around 7, I think you got to go with the under because one of those pitchers very capable of throwing a shutout tomorrow. And I think if that happens, you're going to see an under in that game. So that's a very tricky matchup for me, Pete.
Okay, we'll move on to some of the weekend matchups. There's a couple of these that really caught my eye. St. Louis at Miami. Now, normally, you know, I was waiting to fade Miami, you know, all year long when they were going up against kind of weaker teams. I would stay away from it. But St. Louis, obviously, very strong. The only thing that makes me a little bit nervous is that Miami's starting to play a little bit better. That guy Ozuna's hitting. They got Stanton back in the lineup, and I would still want to bet against them. But I mean, who knows? Maybe St. Louis is going to be like minus 220 on the road every game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be a great series. I would be very hesitant to jump on the Cardinals as well, Pete. I think if you do, you really got to look at those pitching matchups. Lance Lynn's pitching really well. Wainwright's still pitching well. Some of those Shelby Miller's pitching well. So there could be some good run line material in there. I think you could see the Cardinals winning some 5-1 games, some 6-2 ball games. But it is tough to go up to those prizes. If you do, you just have to be on the run line. The way both lineups are hitting the ball, I wouldn't be 100% opposed to looking at some of those totals and seeing some possible overs because I do think the Cardinals' bats are hot, and they're going to go into Miami swinging it pretty well. So interesting series to keep an eye on, no doubt.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what it's all going to be about the prices. You know, if it's St. Louis with a decent pitching matchup at like minus 160, I'll take it. If it's like minus 250, no way. But then there's also Milwaukee at Cincinnati. That's an interesting series. Cincinnati is so great at home in general. They have a great bullpen. They're kind of a winning team overall, one of the top 5 in baseball. And Milwaukee's kind of the opposite. You know, they have some good bats in their lineup, but they just kind of lose game in, game out. I'm thinking maybe blindly bet Cincinnati every game that series. What do you think?
I like that, Pete. I think Cincinnati's playing good baseball. Milwaukee's been on a roller coaster here for quite a while. Pitching staff seems to be a disaster, and their bullpen seems to be a disaster. Even with K-Rod closing up 9th inning games, it seems to be a roller coaster for that team. Cincinnati, as you said, plays great at home. Their pitching's great. Their bullpen's obviously lights out with Chapman there at the end. I like Cincinnati in that series as well. I think you're going to get some high prices. But run lines are always good, and I do think the totals might be okay. Betting some overs in that series. The way that Brewer pitching staff is, especially on the road, Cincinnati's seen that pitching staff several times over this year and last year. Go with Cincinnati, Pete. Great call.
Okay, and then also, I just want to get your take on this series. Dodgers at Pitt. Dodgers on the road at Pitt. Dodgers, the ultimate overvalued team in baseball this year. Pitt, the ultimate undervalued team this year and in previous years. What do you make of that series?
Interesting series because I think the Dodgers are going to start playing a little bit better baseball. They seem to have found something in what I think is one of the most dynamic players in baseball is Yasiel Puig. The guy's been fun to watch, Pete. I'm not sure if you've seen this guy, but he's hitting over 500 right now, and he seems to have provided this spark in the Dodger lineup. Dodgers are still struggling a little bit. They're trying to find their identity, but that's a very interesting series. I think you're going to see a lot of that series right at even value. I think both teams are going to be right around -110 that whole series. So it's going to be a great series to watch. I think it's going to be one of those ones where you got to look at the pitching matchups. The Dodgers got Ryu going tomorrow against Corbin, so I'm not sure if he'll be ready for the weekend. I'm almost certain he won't. So he's been kind of the Dodger pitcher I'd like to ride. So great series to keep an eye on. I can't say which way I'm leaning quite yet, but I do think the Dodgers are starting to play better baseball because Yasiel Puig's been playing phenomenal, and he's really provided a spark for him.
Yeah, sure. All right, before we let you go, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
You know, the one game tomorrow I do like the upset is the team we just talked about is the Dodgers. I think Ryu at home against Patrick Corbin. I think it's time for Patrick Corbin, who hasn't lost the ball game all year. I think he goes down tomorrow night. I think the Dodgers are playing well. I think they'll be excited to beat Corbin, and I just think Corbin's due to lose. I know last week I was kind of riding him a little bit. He goes down tomorrow. Dodgers win that ball game. I think it's going to be a great series as well.
Man, that's quite a call there. Troy West from allplayswin.com. Thanks so much. Great show once again. Talk to you again next week.